Hey, it's Gretchen, Linda, and Tamara. I am trying this again. For some reason it crashed. I'm not sure why. I do not have Backblaze on. And it is off. Let me check something here. Quit that. Quit that. Okay. All right. So, we'll see how this goes. See if Linda and Tamara make it back over here. Send. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to go on my channel. And we're going to see this is going on. And live. Okay. Yay. Hi, Lupe. Thanks for being back here. I see Lupe. All right. There's Linda. Yay. I do not know what happened. It just said it stopped, and I don't have anything going on that it's not supposed to be. Let me do something here in my preferences. Just drop the stream to... I have plenty to do that. I do not know why it's crashing like that. All right, so I'm not going to chat a lot. I'm just going to get right into the stories because something was playing in my ears. I sorry about that. Interesting. I do not understand that one. Oh well, that's how things go sometimes. But you guys, here we are. It is a delight to have you here. Thanks for coming in. Our power blipped twice today for about 2. Yeah, we have a good sized storm going on, but usually, but we'll go from here. So I've got 2 stories tonight, and I called tonight Forest Focus. You know, I live at the edge of a forest. I have 16 acres of forest behind me. It's very wet right now. There's lots of springs in it. I also live within a couple hours of a couple rainforests. The Olympic National Park has 2 or 3 rainforests in it, and that's about 2.5 hours away. And then Rainier National Park has a rainforest in it. And so a lot of people always go like, oh, you don't have to worry about fires. But I live in 2. Washington State has 2 splits. The Eastern Washington is all desert, still has forests, still has things to deal with. We're a wet forest, rainforest, but we still have things. But the thing about this, and why I chose this forest focus, is there seems to be one of the many things going on, a real attack on our forests these days. Not from the forest fires, but from other sources that I'm not even going to bring the name in here. I just won't. But what I can do is read stories about forests and uplift them because they're important. They're vital for our planet. They're vital for our living. They're vital for our wildlife. And they're just amazing. So I've gotten 2 books. One is called Forest Song, I believe, and the other one is 5 Sisters. The first one, the illustrator is somebody we've seen before in several different pieces and several different things. New author, but the book is almost a poem, poetry type story based on poetry by famous poets who have spoken about forests and so you'll see bits and pieces of lines used within that one. And the other one is a kind of a legend type thing, and it's based around an ancient oak tree. And I thought that would be my fun way to invoke positivity for our forests and our love of the land and my love of the land and everybody else's too. Um, yeah, truth is the antidote to the crazy. I love that. I love that. I watched, and my friend Doc Rock did a video on something called Notebook LM, and it's a large language model, and so it's an AI, kind of like a Chat GPT. But the difference with this one, what we can do within it, is that you can pull in reliable sources. Like you could bring in he did an example where he brought in he did an example of training somebody on a piece of equipment. Okay, so this was it. He brought in the manual on that equipment, and he brought in the videos of three people that he knew specifically, that he respected their opinions and that they're unbiased and that they were experts in the field of equipment. And then two outside resources of uh, article review people that outside articles that reviewed the item, brought them all into Notebook LM and had it create a conversation, a training about them. And then you could interact with it and you could ask it questions and it would respond to them. But what Bob and I found interesting was that so many of the AI tools out there, when you ask it a question, will go out and search anything. And we all know that there's a whole lot of fake information out there going around. What I liked about Notebook LM was that I could vet the information sources for a specific, like if I wanted to do a training on something, or if I wanted to investigate something, if I wanted to know about the forests, I could go to reliable sources like the Sierra Club and the National Forestry Service and different things and groups that I depended on and I knew, and not be pulled in by the Fox News crazies and their stuff that they pollute in. So I just thought that was really interesting way I watched that. So a way to get um, out of the having just everything. I thought, man, I could that's a nice way to be able to investigate something and use what you think of reliable sources. So that's my little rant on that. But so anyway, back to the forest. So these two books. The first is beautiful. They're both illustrated, lovely books. The first is a really gorgeous story. The second one had some gaps in the story, but the third time I listened, I kind of fit through it. But you'll have to tell me what you think when we get to the end of it. But the first book is by, let's go to her. The first book is by Kristen Hall. And she is, after getting her MA in early childhood education from NYU, she taught both preschool and elementary school for several years while learn to read books for Scholastic and engaging in the book world in many other ways. Today, Kirsten is a sole proprietor of Catbird Productions, a book packager and boutique literary agency. The Jacket, her debut picture book, was a New York Times notable seller in 2015, but that's not what we're reading today. The book we're reading today is illustrated by Evan Turk. And we have read some of it. We've read Heartbeat. We've read You Are Home. I think we've read The People's Painter, Color the Sky. Might have read the Red Tin Box. I'm not sure. I think we did. Read Muddy and The Storyteller. Also Be the Change and Grandfather Gone. Those. And A Thousand Glass Flowers. Read that one too. So we've read several things by this illustrator. He is an award-winning illustrator and author and animator living in Riverside, and he um, has been featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, NPR. He has exhibited work in the Society of Illustrators, Art Westchester, Mystic Seaport Museum in Connecticut, and on and on and on. Really a treat. And he's outdone himself in this book called A Forest Song. And it was just come out this year, text copyright 2025. And I was looking, the artist used gouache to create the illustrations for this book. Because I grew up, yes. Yay. Oh, Tamara, you made it here. Yay. Uh-huh. Yeah, forestry is kind of a big thing in my family too. My cousin Jim was a forest ranger and started out at Lava Land. Well, he started out in Alaska, then he was at Lava Lands in Oregon, and then he was the forest ranger and superintendent of Craters of the Moon National Park. He was a national park ranger, and he was responsible for increasing the size of the Craters of the Moon from the 55,000 that it was to the park and preserve that it's now at like 155,000 acres. It's huge now, and he got a lot of the stuff done. He also, when he retired, he was given commendations by President Obama, which is pretty amazing for a shy kid from Pasadena, kind of Eagle Rock, California. He was very shy, but amazing. So forests are always a big deal. So this one is called A Forest Song, and this is the book that the dedication is for the poets and forests forevermore, with special thanks to Lee and Francis for our long walks. And so this is the book that incorporates bits and pieces and lines from other poetry. I think you'll like it. Into the forest, dark and deep, with miles to go before I sleep. Beneath the holy oaks I wander. Hear, O my heart, just listen. The forest breathes in through the trees. No two are the same to a bird. Nightingale chuckles, but says no word. Branches rustle, strange and stirred. It's simple, blinks the wood, so wise, through 1,000 fluttering eyes. The wolf finds its lair, the fawn steps with care. The earth gives life to a shambling bear. The beaver designs just over there, and while mosses crawl and footsteps fall, no one wonders why or where. Through the pathless woods I wind, knowing that I hope to find. Yet there are no signs, only boughs entwined, and I know not which to follow. But then the leaves speak bliss to me. The leaves kicked by my feet soon sing, who knew such pleasure this would bring? Here, O my heart, I listen. A deep and grassy forest pool, cloudy waters, green and cool. I'd almost thought I'd never see dappled shadows dance for me. But they do. And if they could, I know they would. The trees within this dreaming wood. They would lift me high And so here I'll stand in their forest song, strong and grand. And this song will not end this night, with its stardust skies and its gold cloth sighs, with its lustrous keys playing dreams for me. Hear its greeting bells, hear its organ swells. It will ripple and beat tomorrow still. Voices alive in the wind, a force of nature deep within. Afresh, afresh, I'll begin. This is the author's note. I began creating a forest song in the early spring of 2021. I want to see what you guys thought of that art. Yes. Hi, Carlos. You grew up in Eagle Rock? That's where my great aunt lived. I mean, not my great aunt, my aunt, Annie Florence. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Annie Florence lived in Eagle Rock. Oh my gosh. Did you know the Morrises? Because you would have been, yeah, you and Jim would have been about contemporaries, I think. Maybe, no, Jim's probably a little older than you, Carlos. Anyway, the author's note on this says, I began creating a forest song in the early spring of 2020. Life had been upended across the globe with the onset of the pandemic, and the winds had blown me and my family out of New York City and into the woods of New England. Every day, almost religiously, I took walks for hours through the forest. I wandered lost in more ways than one. At first, the forest felt like unknown mazes. I was used to street signs. Now, I would need to find my way using piles of pudding stone and low-limbed trees. Over time, the woods grew to be less a labyrinth, and soon thereafter, I heard whispers to the crawling mosses and rustling leaves. Emily Dickinson's poems came back to me first. Lucy Maud Montgomery's dappled shadows followed. And as I walked, I heard the words of poets whose words I had studied in my school days, words that I suddenly realized I never before fully felt. Poems swirled in my mind like twisting branches, and this song began. So it has here, dark is the forest and deep, Edward Thomas. And miles to go before I sleep, Robert Frost, of course. Beneath the holy oaks I wandered, Nicholas Lana. So she took poems from all this. She says about centropoems. I didn't learn about centropoetry until 2 years after composing a forest song. A centropoem is the stringing together of lines from different poems. So this has went through, she's done Edward Thomas, Robert Frost, Nicholas Lanay, Sarojini Nashu, David Wegener, Grace Hazard Conkling, Edward Allan Poe, Mary Oliver, Catherine Lee Bates, good grief, Harriet Wilkinson, Lillian Leveridge. I haven't heard half these names since I was in college. Walt Whitman, the music of rustling leaves kick at my feet. Oh, yeah. All these, it's all so wonderful. Wonderful way to do that. And the artwork of this, seriously, you guys, the way he used the gouache in this, like this one with the limbs being the hands and the branches being the hands that set the child in bed. It's just so gorgeous in so many different ways. Oh, well, yeah. Let me go back here to me. Get rid of these three. So you guys, we kind of got waylaid and started kind of crazy late in different things. And the one that crashed, and then I had to reopen and get you back here. So in the opening video that I did, the the pictures that were in that are all photos I took of my own. But I'll play it real quick. It's only 20 seconds. I'll play it again real quick and see if you can probably guess. Um, the bears are in Alaska, of course. The moose will be from Yellowstone. The raven is from Yellowstone. Uh, the elk is from Washington State here. The elk. And when the elk comes in, the picture that you'll see there is at Hurricane Ridge, which is in the Olympic National Forest. It's in the Olympic Mountains. I think the next one that you'll see, the black and white in the middle, is in Yellowstone. And the end one with the bear coming out of the lake, the bear is in Alaska, but the picture is at Lake Tipsu at Mount Rainier. And the beginning and opening are both photos done one is in the end one is in the Hoh rainforest, and the first one's in the Quinault rainforest. So here, I'll play those for you. There. So you got a sense again of what I'm on my forest theme I was going with today with these. They're a big part of what we have and what we cherish and what I live around. Like I said, it just doesn't take much for me I can go out in my backyard. If I go out my back gate, I'm in the forest, and I have to be pretty careful because I get in the way of where the deer sleep. And so I have to, it's all kind of grown over. But, get in the car, I can drive a couple hours and I'm in a national park. And yeah, it's just heaven. Having discouraged. Yes, Carlos, I watched 3 of your videos before this earlier today. I was watching. They were really, you're just doing a fine job, my friend. Okay, so the next book. Now, this one is called Five Sisters, and it is it's a legend, or a folktale type thing, and the story, the artwork is amazing. The story, you have to kind of, like all folk tales, you kind of have to leap, oftentimes, go from one. And the story in this one is particularly carried at times through the illustrations. So let me get you there, and we can get to Five Sisters. Oh, first we're going to get to the author. All right, so here we go. Okay, so the author is, there she is, Stephanie Campisi. She's an Australian writer, Tamara, right up you, but she's based in Southern California. She's small and quiet enough that people readily share with her their tall tales and darkest secrets, which she then makes taller, darker, and occasionally more handsome. She suspects that she might have made an excellent spy. She has slept in a cemetery, has a friend who is bullied by a prince, and has lived in a haunted house in a haunted town. Oh, my goodness. Her books include The Warrior Fairies, Louise and Tabitha, and Quacks Like a Duck, Sparkle Pigs, and Little Coffee Shop of Terrors. And so this is a series that she does, The Warrior Fairies, for middle school kids, probably. And then this is Sparkle Pigs, is a series that she has. Unfinished Business, Louise and Tabitha, Quacks Like a Duck. This is the one I'm going to read, called Five Sisters. Pebble Without a Cause. What is Pebble Without a Cause? I may have to find that one. Anyway, the illustrator is Madalina Adronic. And she is a Romanian illustrator currently based in Italy. She draws inspiration from native art, folklore, loves and travels, never forgetting the magic of where she comes from. With an MA in illustration from Camberwell College of Arts in London, she's developed a strong and distinctive style and is working for clients all around the world. Yeah, it's a very distinctive style in this book, and the book is called Five Sisters. Yeah. And the illustrations are done. They don't tell me. Five Sisters. The old couple had cared for the woods since its trees had been